Everyone thought they had Ed figured out. From the calm voice in the middle of desert chaos to the steady presence in the shop, he became one of the most recognizable faces on Matt's off-road recovery. And for a long time, viewers even believed he was part of the family. But that assumption, completely wrong. Then something changed. As the channel exploded in popularity and the crew expanded, Ed started appearing less and less. No big announcement, no explanation, just a quiet shift that didn't go unnoticed. And that silence sparked questions. Was there tension behind the scenes? Did something happen between him and Matt? Or was this just another case of the internet connecting dots that were never there? The truth is far less dramatic than the rumors, but also more revealing about how quickly online speculation can spiral. And once you understand what actually happened, the entire story looks very different. One of the biggest myths surrounding Ed is also the simplest. People believed he was Matt's father. It's easy to see why. On camera, their dynamic felt natural. There was a comfort there, a rhythm, the kind of back and forth that made viewers assume they were family. And once that idea started circulating in comment sections, it spread fast. New viewers saw it repeated enough times that it just became fact. But Ed is not Matt Wetzel's dad. In reality, Ed was living on the property long before the channel became what it is today. When Matt acquired the property years ago, Ed was already there. Over time, they developed a friendship, and Ed gradually became part of the operation. Not through some dramatic backstory, not through a business merger, just through proximity and trust. That origin story isn't flashy. It's not scandalous, and maybe that's why so many people ignored it in favor of something more dramatic. Because once viewers emotionally invest in someone, they start building narratives around them. And when those narratives aren't officially confirmed or denied, they grow on their own. And that misunderstanding would later fuel even bigger rumors. The shift didn't happen overnight. At first, it was subtle. A few videos without Ed, then a few more. And suddenly, longtime viewers realized something felt different. The energy had changed. As Matt's off-road recovery exploded in popularity, the entire operation evolved. The recoveries got bigger. The builds became more ambitious. The filming became tighter and more structured. What started as a rugged, small-team recovery channel slowly transformed into a full-scale media brand. With that growth came new faces stepping into larger roles, higher energy personalities, bigger projects, a faster pace, the kind of format that thrives in the YouTube algorithm. And Ed, who had always been more reserved and low-key, simply wasn't front and center anymore. There was no dramatic exit, no announcement saying he was leaving, just fewer appearances. But on the internet, silence creates space, and space invites speculation. Viewers began asking questions in the comments. Reddit. Threads popped up. Theories started forming. Why was he missing? Did something happen behind the scenes? Was there tension nobody was talking about? Because when someone familiar fades into the background, people assume there's a reason. And that's when the rumors really began to snowball. Once viewers noticed the pattern, the theories escalated fast. Some claimed there had been a quiet fallout behind the scenes. Others suggested business disagreements as the channel became more profitable. A few even hinted that something serious had happened that just wasn't being talked about publicly. And the wildest part, none of it was backed by confirmed evidence. There were no public statements about conflict, no awkward exchanges caught on camera, no posts hinting at bad blood. Just a noticeable reduction in screen time, but in the world of YouTube, that's all it takes. When a familiar face appears less often, people assume there's a hidden story. Part of the fuel came from how naturally Ed fit into the early dynamic. He wasn't just another crew member, he felt foundational. So when newer personalities began getting more focus, some viewers interpreted it as someone being pushed aside. But growth doesn't automatically equal drama. As the channel scaled, production priorities shifted. Storylines became tighter. Episodes leaned into higher energy moments. That naturally changes who ends up in front of the camera. Still, the internet prefers a dramatic explanation over a simple one. And once those rumors started circulating, they became harder to quiet down. Here's the part that rarely gets attention. Ed was never chasing the spotlight in the first place. From the beginning, he wasn't loud. He wasn't trying to dominate scenes or build a personal brand. His appeal came from being steady, dry, and unintentionally funny. He felt authentic because he wasn't performing for the camera. He was just being himself. As the channel grew, though, the demands changed. Bigger audience, bigger expectations, tighter schedules, more structured filming days. When a YouTube channel turns into a full-scale business, everything becomes more intentional. Who's featured? Who speaks? Who carries segments? That doesn't mean someone was pushed out. It often just means the format evolved. And not everyone wants that level of visibility. Long desert recoveries, constant filming, online attention, that lifestyle isn't for everybody, especially someone who never signed up to be an internet personality. It's entirely possible that Ed simply chose to step back from frequent appearances. No scandal, no dramatic split, just a natural shift as the channel expanded and roles adjusted. But here's the twist. Sometimes a quiet step back feels louder than an official exit, and that perception is what kept the rumors alive. What really fueled the rumors wasn't evidence, it was silence. There was no formal explanation about why Ed appeared less, no dedicated video addressing the shift. And in today's YouTube culture, viewers expect transparency. When something changes, they want answers immediately. When those answers don't come, people start creating their own. Comment sections filled with "Where's Ed?" Threads popped up dissecting old clips for hidden tension. Some viewers convinced themselves they noticed subtle signs, a different tone, shorter interactions, less screen time. Theories became more confident with every repost. But here's what often gets missed. YouTube doesn't require a public statement every time someone's role evolves. Not every shift is a storyline. In many cases, life simply moves forward off camera. Schedules change, interests change, energy levels change, especially for someone who wasn't building a personal online brand to begin with. Yet, the longer there was no official explanation, the more the absence felt intentional. And when something feels intentional, people assume there's a deeper reason. That's the power of online communities. They can amplify uncertainty into something that feels concrete. And by that point, the narrative had already taken on a life of its own. If you strip away the theories, the screenshots, and the comment section detectives, what's left is actually pretty simple. Ed didn't vanish after some exposed fallout. He didn't release a cryptic message. There hasn't been a confirmed feud, split, or behind-the-scenes blow-up. What viewers saw was a gradual reduction in appearances. Nothing more concrete than that. And sometimes, that's all it is. Channels evolve. Businesses expand. People shift roles. Especially on a platform like YouTube, where content direction can change quickly depending on growth, audience demand, and creative focus. Not everyone who helped build something wants to stay front and center as it scales. It's also worth remembering that what we see on screen is only a fraction of reality. A 20-minute video doesn't show the full dynamic of a workplace, a friendship, or a day-to-day operation. Editing choices alone can completely change who appears most often. But once viewers grow attached to someone, any change feels personal. That's really what this situation highlights. Not a hidden scandal, not secret drama, just how fast the internet can turn ordinary change into a mystery. And sometimes, the simplest explanation is the most accurate one. Even without proof of drama, the conversation around Ed refuses to disappear. And that says more about internet culture than it does about him. When someone becomes part of a channel's identity, viewers don't just see them as a cast member, they feel connected. Ed represented the early days, the slower pace, the small team vibe, the raw recoveries before everything scaled up. For many longtime fans, he symbolized authenticity. So when his presence decreased, it didn't just feel like a lineup change, it felt like the end of an era. That emotional reaction is powerful. It keeps questions alive long after the facts are settled. Even new viewers stumble across old comment threads and assume there must be something deeper going on. The rumor cycle feeds itself. But here's the reality. Not every story has a dramatic twist. Sometimes a person simply appears less because life shifts direction. Priorities change. Energy changes, roles adjust. The internet, however, struggles with ordinary explanations. It prefers conflict. It prefers hidden layers. And maybe that's why the speculation continues. Not because there's secret evidence, but because a quiet transition just isn't exciting enough to accept. At the end of the day, the mystery around Ed says less about him and more about how we consume online content. Viewers build connections fast. After watching dozens, sometimes hundreds, of videos, it starts to feel personal. Like we know the people on screen, like we're part of the crew, so when something shifts, even slightly, it feels bigger than it probably is. But here's what actually exists. No verified feud, no confirmed business fallout, no public dispute. Just a noticeable decrease in screen time as the channel evolved. That's it. The rest was interpretation layered on top of silence. And silence online often gets mistaken for secrecy. When creators don't address every change, people assume there's something being hidden. But not every adjustment requires a public explanation. Sometimes roles just change quietly. In reality, Ed remains part of the channel's history, a major piece of its growth and personality during its rise. That doesn't disappear just because he appears less often. The truth may not be dramatic, it may not be scandalous, but sometimes the absence of drama is the real story.